Leaving Mexico was the hardest thing I've had to do in my adulthood thus far. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shawnee, and if you're watching this video to be nosy, but you're not subscribed, why? I'm gonna need you to go ahead and fix that. It's free to do, and I promise you'll like it here. Now, if you're already part of the family, what's up, what's good, what's poppin'? Thank you for your continued support. If you watch my latest YouTube upload, then you know I am no longer living in Mexico. After 3.5 life-altering years living abroad, I am back in the States. Leaving Mexico was deeply emotional for me because that place has a piece of my heart. Those were the most magical years of my life thus far. But in this video, I'm going to get into why I decided to leave. And I'm going to break it down in 3 parts, starting with the introduction, which will be a quick recap of how I even got to Mexico for anyone new here. Then we're going to move to the chapters, which will be my life in Mexico and everything that I accomplished there. And finally, the epilogue, which will be the reason I decided to leave. So without further ado, let's just get into it. In 2019, I left my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, and moved to Los Angeles, California because I was feeling stagnant. I needed a change of pace of life, and LA gave me exactly that. In LA, I discovered my strength and resilience because LA is one of the most expensive cities you can live in the United States, and I was doing it. I was thriving, and I was damn proud of myself. I loved everything about living in LA. My apartment, my friends, the weather, the people, the lifestyle, the palm trees, the ocean breeze, and the hustle. I was here for it all. Fast forward to 2021 and the whole entire world shuts down because of you know what. And this was not good for me. I was quarantining alone in my apartment and I was feeling scared, anxious, nervous, and unsure about what was next for me. It was overwhelming as hell. So my friend and I heard Mexico was still open. So we decided to take a vacation to Cancun and Tulum. Till this day is the best vacation I have ever taken. And during this vacation, I met a lot of dope people, most of which who lived in Mexico. And these were American people. And I was just in awe of their courage to live a different life. But as all vacations do, it came to an end and the euphoric feeling started to fade. Upon returning to LA, the heaviness of the world hit me like a ton of bricks, okay? And I started having mental breakdown after mental breakdown. And in the middle of a breakdown, a light bulb went off. It said, move to Mexico. I didn't even question it. I instantly began to put a plan in motion. I started to sell my things and let my leasing office know that I was getting the heck up out of there before I got in debt for that apartment. I started looking for housing in Playa del Carmen, and funny thing enough, I had never even been to Playa del Carmen, but everyone I met on my vacation in Cancun and Tulum said that's where they lived, so I figured that would be the perfect place to start my journey abroad. And with the help of some expats currently living there, I was able to find housing, pay my deposit, and secure my move-in date, and just like that, it was time to say bye-bye LA. When I arrived in Mexico, I was full of excitement and wanderlust for this new chapter of my life. And even though I didn't speak the language and I wasn't familiar with Mexican culture, I was excited. I was not afraid of the challenge. And at the time, I was not working, so I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted. And on day 2 of moving to Mexico, I met a man, and a couple months later, we fell in love. Spoiler alert, it did not work out. But at 31 years old, I took swim lessons and learned how to swim because why would I live by the beach if I can't enjoy the activities? And then after that, I ended up flying back to Atlanta to get my dog because I wanted her to live the beach life with me. I started meeting people, making friends, and building lifelong connections. And honestly, I also started to heal neglected parts of myself. And life was truly unfolding beautifully. Initially, I was thinking this would be a temporary thing. I would stay 3 to 6 months because a Mexican tourist visa allows you to be there up to 180 days. But the more time I spent in Mexico, the more I began to realize that I don't want to go back to the States. So I hired a local lawyer and I started the process to become a resident. And after I became a resident of Mexico, I landed the highest paying job of my life. And it was remote, which meant I could stay in Mexico. After 2 years in Playa del Carmen, I was ready for a faster pace of life. So I decided to pack my things and leave and move to the bustling capital, Mexico City. And at this time, I'm feeling very comfortable living abroad because not only am I legal now, I'm also moving cities within the country. And when I got to Mexico City, it was everything I was missing in Playa del Carmen. arts, museums, a thriving nightlife, beautiful neighborhoods, and plenty of things to do. At this time, I also started stand-up comedy and became a comedian. My life was really taking shape, and it all stemmed from making one bold decision, taking the leap of faith to move abroad. I had created such a beautiful life for myself in Mexico, so what could possibly make me leave? Well, in 2023, the tech industry started to do mass layoffs. And at the time, I was working for a tech company based in Lisbon, Portugal that dealt with artificial intelligence and machine learning. I started to get this gut feeling that I should look for a new job, even though my job had not done any layoffs. But I started to notice that my workload was decreasing. But I ignored that gut feeling because I loved my job. And I wrote it off as me being pessimistic and negative. Fast forward to late February 2024, and a random meeting gets put on my work calendar, and my heart sank. I look at who was all invited to the meeting, and sure enough, there was an HR lady that would be present. And at that moment, I knew I was about to lose the best job I have ever had. And sure enough, they let me go, and I was devastated. At first, I wasn't too concerned because I had 6 months of expenses saved up, so I knew I had some time to find a new job. But as the months started to roll by, I noticed I wasn't getting a lot of interviews, and the ones I was getting were ghosting me. So I started to get scared. It just so happened that the time in which my savings would run out coincided with the same time that I would have to renew my lease or leave. So I knew I had to make something happen fast. As that date drew nearer, the anxiety of it all became unbearable. I felt like I was running out of time, and the stress of it all became overwhelming. I would literally be walking my dog in public, boo-hoo crying because I did not want to leave. But all of the signs were pointing towards that inevitable decision, and I was so torn. I started to talk to my mom about potentially moving back to Atlanta to rest, reset, and rebuild. And she truly spoke life into me and reminded me that moving home is not something I should be ashamed about. By July 2024, I started to pack my belongings, but I was still holding on to hope that a miracle could happen, but it didn't. So I did have to move back to the United States, and I've been here now for 6 months. And leaving Mexico was honestly the hardest thing I have ever done. I ended up leaving on my birthday, August 22nd, because I felt like your birthday is the start of a new year. And if I'm going to start the new year, I want to start it fresh on my birthday. So I moved back on my birthday. And honestly, I am abundantly grateful for the 3.5 years in Mexico. It completely changed my life and altered how I think about the life I can have in the future. And I left Mexico not as a tourist, how I entered, but as a resident. So that will forever be my home. Mexico showed me that there is so much life to be lived and experienced beyond the borders of the United States. And as people, even though we may come from different countries, have different cultures, and speak different languages, we can still connect, grow, and learn from one another. And for those experiences, I am abundantly grateful. I will hold them in my heart and carry them wherever I go next. And with that being said, nos vemos, Mexico. Muchas gracias por todo. I genuinely believe that something greater is on the horizon for me. And even though I did not want to leave Mexico, I do believe that situation happened for a reason. Every time I've had a setback in life, it has propelled me into something more divinely aligned for me. And I trust that this situation is no different. In my next YouTube upload, I will share what I've been up to since I've been back in the States and what I have planned for this chapter of my life. If you've made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching my video, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next upload. Peace.